Hi everyone, it's Leah Love again, and I feel like I am really at a point where I'm just in a mood to record. And I have some time to myself. My children are in a homeschool program that they go to once a week where they can meet with other homeschool children and just have gym time and fun time, socialize. And so that gives me 3 whole hours by myself. Like, oh my gosh. Um, because we're with each other 24/7 any other day of the week. So this is like my me time. I definitely am being brave. I'm on here without any makeup. Um, it's just whatever. And so I'm going to actually go and get my nails redone. I'm over these. And so I'm excited. But I wanted to come on really quickly and just share some things that were on my heart because I just look at the life that so many of us have had. Um, and I just wish it were better for so many of us. I know we're all going through things, we're all learning, but it's just so interesting to me, you know, how our mindset really does color our point of view and the choices that we make. It's infused in everything. And I know that for so many of us, we were raised by single moms, a lot of us, and we had the education that we had. Like a lot of our moms were, disillusioned or angry with men, angry about their experiences, and just really going through difficult times as single moms because it can be challenging. Because I've been a single mom, and as I always say, even in my last marriage, I still was like a single mom pretty much because I was doing everything. And um, and I realized that, you know, sometimes it's time for a moment of reflection. I'm in a many Facebook groups, and some of these groups are for women who, want to level up. They want a better life. They want men of means. Some want to be married. Not all of them do. But when I look at the general theme, it just takes me back to my years when I was disillusioned with men, with life. And I carried certain, notions because of the experiences that I had had with men and choosing wrong. Um, and I just had to really clear that out when I decided to finally do my best, at least. Not to say that I was necessarily perfect, but once I started to first heal myself, elevate my thinking, I then got myself into a space where I had to really look at and examine my thoughts about men. I had to realize that everybody has an agenda. For the most part, it's good agendas, but everyone has an agenda. Everyone has things that they want in life. Um, and they sometimes have to utilize relationships, even work relationships, business relationships, to get what you want. And so one hand washes the other, whatever. But I realized that the education that I had growing up, meaning social media education, education from, my mom, um, and friends, other family members, that it gave me a certain concept about men, even growing up. And so it colored the way in which I interacted with them. It made me, I don't want to say made me, but it certainly helped me to make the decisions that I made. So I'll give you an example. If you feel like everything is evil, I don't know, just, run with it. If you feel that everything is evil, so, but you've got to like interact with this evilness, so you're going to say, hey, I'm going to choose the lesser of the five evils. I'm just giving an example. It might not be a good one. But the thing is, if you make choices based on that I'm just going to go with the lesser of the evils, you're going to still get something evil. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't avoid it. But if you have the idea that, that it's a good world, that there are still good people in the world, and that, yes, there are still good men in the world, then you're going to choose the best of the good men. Now, not to say that men are 100% perfect, certainly not to say that women are 100% perfect. But what I want to share is that once I examined my own thoughts about men, once I examined the fact that I was still angry with my ex husband and I had not healed and all of that, I realized that I should not be dating out here while I still have this very, very negative view about men. I should not be in a space where I'm trying to interact with men and yet I don't like them, or I'm distrustful of them. And that's all from my own personal experiences. But I have been learning over the past several years to take responsibility for the choices that I made. I'm not responsible for the things that they did, but I'm certainly responsible for the choices that I made. And I had to really look at the factors that went into why I made those decisions in terms of the past, ex-husband. And when I took personal responsibility for my own thinking and for the way in which I thought about men, and thought about the possibilities, then I realized that, hey, it was because, I feared being alone. Because I didn't feel that, maybe the right guy's never going to come along. So, let me just make this choice here. But I made zero, effort to like really establish a detailed list of what I wanted. I made no effort to really come to understand myself and who I was really and truly within, and what areas of myself were hurt or needed to heal. And so I just was out there blundering. And a lot of times, like the women that I see, social media folks or whatever, when they're constantly speaking negatively about men and whatnot, they're not, it feels to me that they're not yet at the space where they can take personal responsibility to say, well, why did you choose that man in the first place? Why were you with him? Now you can say, well, he told me this and he told me that. I've been through that myself. But in hindsight, if I want to be honest with myself and not be in this culture that everybody else is to fault and it's never about me, it's never anything I did, I'm a victim. Once I got out of victimhood and I was able to look back, I saw so many red flags. I should have never been with this guy in the first place, to be honest. It made no sense. Now that I have that hindsight, it makes perfect sense. One, why I was with him, and two, why I should never have been with him. And so I can't keep blaming him for simply being who he is. And he was able to take advantage of my lack of, just self-love and knowing who I am or was, and, the goals that I had or didn't have. And that was a huge step for me. But the thing is, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, the thing why this personal inner, reflection for myself is really, really important is because I want my girls to have a different education than I had. I want them to understand that there are good men out here, but that they have to know how to choose. They have to know how to vet. They cannot go into the dating world with an already skewed opinion of men, because what you focus on, you attract. And so if you're focusing on that all men are dogs, all men are horrible, all men cheat, then you're going to attract that into your life, and you're going to attract that type of guy. But if you come at it that you are looking for a healthy, emotionally well-balanced man who is a protector, a provider, a good family values man, then you're going to approach your dating life much differently. You're going to have your goals specified, and you're going to have your boundaries and your standards, and a lot of things that um, young men do these days, you wouldn't allow it, or you wouldn't even be with this type of guy anyway. But the thing is that we get out here sometimes, or a lot of times, lacking, you know, the education that we really, really needed. And then we make all of these mistakes, and then we just make a blanket statement that all men suck, all men are evil, they're horrible. When it's no, it's if there's just people out there like that if you're gonna just allow it, then they're gonna do it. Um, but they wouldn't do that. And if you've noticed, if you've had, past boyfriends when you were younger or whatever, and when he was with you, he was horrible. But then when he was with the girl of his dreams, that he thought was the girl of his dreams, he was a totally different guy. Or, I've heard so many times the women who give men wife behaviors, and when they're just girlfriends, or they're just, sex buddies, and then but they're giving them all of these rewards as a wife, cooking for him, cleaning for him, doing all this stuff. And but then he never, proposes to her. She hints that she wanted to get married. He's always, skipping around the subject. But then when she finally gets a clue, like 5 years later, and she's like so upset because she's saying, oh, I gave him the best years of my life, and I did all this stuff for him, and he never proposed to me. I feel like I wasted all these years. And then you look up, and he's now met the real one he wanted, and he's proposed and married, and they're living their life. And a lot of women will be like, oh my gosh, like, what in the world? So he wouldn't marry me, but he's married her. But then you got to ask, first of all, were you really his type? Were you really like the one that he felt like he had to chase, and that he could not allow her to get away? Or were you giving everything to him before he even asked? Were you giving him and doing more for him than you needed to be doing? No one had a gun to your head and forced you to do all these things. That's not every situation. Don't come for me, please. I know. Sometimes they will say all of these things. But then again, that's why we got to get back to these conversations amongst women, amongst older women like myself, who are mothers, who are raising children. Even if you're not raising children, if you've got nieces and nephews, or, girls that you hang with, we've got to start getting back to having these conversations. We've got to tell these young girls out here not to be jaded and telling them all these horror stories, but make them understand that they have to have standards. Doesn't matter what social media is saying, doesn't matter what they're doing in reality TV shows when their lives are really a mess. It doesn't matter what Kim Kardashian is doing or was doing before getting married. It's about reality. And the reality is, people will people will take what you give them. And if you give yourself away for free, as if, you put yourself on sale, basically at a bargain basement price, people will buy you for less. That's just a figure of speech, please. Again, don't come for me. And so have standards, not being desperate out here, not understanding that if you want to get married, you follow a certain set of steps, and you ensure that you get courted. If you see that a guy is not like, doing the things that you'd like him to do, you're definitely not opening up the bakery and giving it to him on the first date. You wait for a commitment. There's so many things that go into, and a good man will understand that. And a man who actually thinks you are top notch, you're the one he wants, he will wait. He will do what's necessary to have you and then to keep you, and vice versa. In other words, not vice versa in that, you're paying his bills, you're doing all this stuff for him, treating him like he's your husband when he's not even proposed to you yet, or whatever. But a lot of us make so many mistakes, and then we sit back and yell and scream about what men have done to us. And yes, many of us went into it blind, not knowing. We were, overly emotional about it. Not to say that there shouldn't be love and affection, but it's just a lot that we have to do. And I just feel like we have to do better. I feel like we have to get ourselves more educated on relationships, courtship, even on marriage. We're just too blind, and we're putting our daughters out here just like either jaded completely from day one because maybe the relationships that they've had with their father, stepfather, whatever, the men in and out of, their mom's life, like they've already had negative experiences. But it's really, really important that we start to change the tide, because I think so many of our girls are out here being more hurt than they need to be. And more jaded than they need to be, and totally without the knowledge and the skills to get what they want. And lastly, not even having high standards, like not even having the bar set to a level that they feel they are worthy of. A lot of girls that I encounter never even felt worthy of, anything good, anything, of value. And so they just gave themselves away to whoever would give them a little bit of attention just because he wanted sex. I'm just going to be honest. And I want our girls to get back to a level of self-esteem and personal responsibility, and understanding that there are, clear cause and effect situations in their life. If you are 15, 16, 17 and you are sleeping with some guy, chances are you might get pregnant. And if you get pregnant and this isn't the guy that you should have even been sleeping with in the first place because you weren't married, chances are he's not going to stay around. Chances are you're going to be a single mom. Chances are your life is going to be tough, as if life can't be, is sometimes already tough enough with everything that we just have to deal with in this age. But to start off at such a young age already, it's so unfortunate. And then now it's, I hate all men, but yet keep sleeping with men and then still keep getting the same results, getting more kids. And this is not to blame. What I'm saying is, I think we need to start really looking at this. Mothers, we need to start healing ourselves of anything that's going on from our past, if we're, not married or whatever, or not happily married. And we need to stop passing this on to our young girls, because they need a fighting chance out here to have a happy and a good life. There's no reason why we should not be having a good life. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you all. Sorry I hadn't turned off my notifications. This was totally impromptu because, like I said, I don't plan my videos anymore. So no makeup going on here, and I'm about to head out. I already jogged this morning and just showered and, took the kids to their program. And so I'm just going to get out there and get my nails done and just enjoy the last 2 hours to myself, mommy me time, and then move on with my day. We've got more homeschooling to do. And then my youngest has ballet this evening. So we've got to do that, get back, dinner. And I want to take a walk with the family tonight because I've started packing the pounds on again. And I don't like that because I work so hard to lose all this weight. It's not a lot. I can just kind of see it in my face, in my cheeks, and waist isn't as snatched as it was 2 months ago. So it's time to hit it back again, get back to daily jogging, and get my life again, because I'm not getting any younger, ladies. So anyway, thank you all for listening. And, if you liked this content, please consider subscribing and hitting the notifications button and sharing it with your friends and family and, whoever else. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.